The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com. 11 locations across New England.
It's got to suck playing the Boston Celtics. Think about it. Saturday night against the Bulls. Celtics playing the second night of a back-to-back. They're missing 3 starters. The Chicago Bulls shoot 57.3% from the field, and they lose by double digits. Lose by double digits. Now, I know a lot of teams have lost by double digits to the Celtics, but usually it's because the Celtics lock in defensively. It's because they're so talented with all their main guys out there. No, the Celtics rest cookies and cream. Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis. Drew Holiday takes another night off, rehabbing that shoulder after the dead arm. They just patch together a new lineup every night lately, and they go out there, and despite one of their more underwhelming defensive efforts, they win. POSTGAME POD 71 coming to you after the Celtics take down the Chicago Bulls 124-113 at the United Center. Sweep the season series against the Bulls. Here's what we got coming up. You'll hear Abby go one-on-one with Al Horford, who always seems just a little bit more motivated when Billy Donovan is over there, his old college coach. And you'll hear more reaction from this one. But another night, another win, another lineup. It just doesn't matter. Like, the Celtics don't even have to play their – forget about A game. They don't need their – this wasn't a B game. This was like a C game. Maybe a C- game. And yet they hit enough threes and made enough plays. And Jason Tatum goes quiet in the third quarter, but helps you get to the finish line. And your guys that we would typically say are spots 6 through 9 on the team, Luke, Sam, Peyton Pritchard, and Al, combined for 69 points, 29 rebounds, 14 threes, and help you get to the finish line of your 9th straight win. Celtics now 57-14. The magic number is now 1 to lock up the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which, like, let's face it, they're getting that. 11 games to go. Celtics will be the number 1 seed. In short order, they will be the number 1 seed in the NBA for as long as their playoff stay goes on and potentially home court in a finals matchup. This one, I hate to sound exasperated because 157 games, they're going to win 60-plus games this year. When will I stop being surprised by that they win games? But wasn't it just like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago where Celtics could never win on the second night of a back-to-back? They'd be resting Al Horford. They'd be shorthanded. They wouldn't ever have the energy. And now they just go steamroll teams. Steamroll's a little harsh on this one because the final score isn't quite indicative of how close this game was. Almost what triggered the clutch criteria in the fourth quarter. But Celtics wouldn't allow it. Derek White hit a couple threes to stiff arm any thoughts the Bulls had about making a charge. Jason Tatum hits a bunch of free throws down the stretch, a couple of nice assists to set up the other buckets, and Celtics motor away with the win. I do love that bench group in this game. You know, obviously, Al and Co. elevating to starting roles, but Al goes out and gives you 23 points on 8 of 16 shooting, 8 rebounds. You know, there's been a couple moments this year where you sit there and go, man, maybe Al's finally looking like a 37-year-old. And then on the nights you really need him, or the nights that are against a big-time opponent, kind of ratchets it up a little bit. And you know, when the playoffs roll around, Al will be there, and he'll be ready, and he'll be steady, and he'll be giving you what you need, especially if you see one of those imposing big men from Giannis to Joel Embiid, or whatever the case may be. Luke Kornet, who at this point you could talk me into that Luke should be in the most improved player talks just because of how steady he's been this season. Line won't jump off the page. 8 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists though, including one of the prettiest passes to O'Shea Brissett for a little drop off at the rim. A couple lob third downs for Luke, but the rebounding was awesome. 5 on the offensive glass, I believe, 8 on the defensive end. We've been highly critical of Luke, especially at the start of the year, about not being able to corral some of those rebounds, and he has tightened that up, especially when you don't have Kristaps Porzingis out there. Hey, some of those double big lineups were a little clunky. Sometimes the Celtics defense wasn't as quite locked in, but no five-man lineup really was on this night. And yet, Luke was your energy. Luke gave you the sort of spark yet again after a lethargic start. Sam Hauser, if you were worried about that ankle lingering, 23 points, 8 of 9 shooting, 7 of 8 beyond the three-point arc. I mean, it's just ridiculous. When he left that game with 10 threes and didn't get a chance to get the record, it was Peyton Pritchard who said, don't worry, he'll have another opportunity. And you're like, yeah, but 10 threes is a lot. Casual Saturday night, Sam's out there putting up 7 threes, or connecting on 7 threes. Peyton, who has just been on fire on this stretch, 15 points, plus 17 as he continues to just be a net rating darling. 8 assists in this game, I believe 0 turnovers. He's just so steady with the ball. His assist-to-turnover ratio with another night like this is slowly climbing towards, I think he was 8th in the NBA entering Friday's game. Feels like he's going to keep creeping up that list. Just an impressive effort from the Celtics. Like I said, I'd love to tell you. I just assume I do just assume they're going to win most nights now because it hasn't mattered what the obstacles are, and yet there are multiple instances in this game, especially at the start, where you're just like, feels like one of those nights, and the Bulls were hitting everything, and the Celtics didn't quite have the right intensity early, and it didn't matter because you hit a million threes. The Bulls don't hit threes. And you win the shot margin, you win the turnover bat, all the stuff you got to do, and then you look up, and it's an 11-point win. Man, it's got to suck to play the Celtics. Like, I can't imagine you play that well, and your silver lining is, well, we kind of hung with them and took a double-digit loss. It's crazy. It's crazy. This team is that good. The depth is just shined in this stretch. What a luxury to be able to kind of pick and choose who you want to play, who you want to rest. The other thing here, the encouraging news seemed to be Drew Holiday was out on the court getting shots up before the game. We could see him in the background of our pregame programming, working with Charles Lee. A lot of lefty shots, but getting some right-handed work in there too. That's the shoulder that got nailed. And so get him right, making sure that he finds that stroke. But hopefully, if his three-point shot bounces back as quickly as Sam Hauser's did after injury, and I know they're different injuries, but that would be really encouraging. And Celtics just continue to roll. All right, enough about me exasperatedly talking about this win. Let's get to our more from our post-game show.
Eddie, your thoughts on the Celtics and their ability to hang on and finish this one off against the Bulls?
Yeah, they got it done, and guys stepped up in moments where they needed to. Luke Kornet rebounding the basketball. We just highlighted that. Peyton Pritchard playing the way he's been playing, assisting the basketball, getting his teammates involved the last couple games has been phenomenal. The one thing I would say is that I know it's a back-to-back, but I would like them to shore up their defense. Chicago nearly shot damn near 60% from the field. I mean, that's just a little too high of a number, but that's nitpicking. We still got the victory, but when you're trying to win a championship, you have to nitpick and you got to stop things before they start and become something that you can't stop.
57.3% were the Bulls from the field. Yeah, that's pretty good. But at the same time, Celtics still find a way to win this game by 11 points. Meanwhile, let's head back out to the United Center. Abby Chin standing by with Al Horford.
Al, this game was a battle. Chicago kept it close with their ball pressure. How did you guys finally get some separation and get the win in the fourth?
I felt like we got a great start in the fourth quarter. That unit that was sitting there really set the tone for us, and once we got in there, we were able to just close the game out.
Three-pointers made the difference. You had 5 of them in this game. What is it like being on the floor, the way that you guys can spread and know that you are surrounded by elite shooters?
Yeah, I mean, we're running our offense with good pace. JT puts a lot of pressure on the defenses, as you can tell, and we're beneficiaries, and I'm taking advantage and I'm taking my shots.
No question about it. Luke Kornet just passed by, a monster on the offensive board tonight. What kind of impact is he he making on this team?
Now, unbelievable. His energy, relentless on the glass, key offensive rebounds, tap outs, putbacks. He's doing everything for us down there.
Finally, Al, you guys were without 3 starters. You win your 9th straight game. No matter who is on the floor for this team, you guys have a great opportunity to win. What is so special about this group?
Yeah, I think that's how Joe wants us to be, right? Be a team that anybody can come in with our system and we can kind of figure it out and make things happen. And our guys were really buying into it, and we're seeing it with these wins and the way that we're playing.
No question about it, Al. Thank you. Congrats.
All right, let's bring in Drew and Scal now. And fellas, I guess once again, you got 5 guys scoring in double figures. Luke Kornet, 13 rebounds, and they just keep finding new ways to win, and a new way to win here with the 57th of the season.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like, tonight was Kornet's night. Like, him hitting the glass. He had a big load keeping Andre Drummond off the glass with the pressure he puts on the other side of the floor. And everything works in unison. It doesn't work for Jason Tatum if you don't have a guy that set a screen and roll to the basket, if you don't have space and have Al Horford in the corner or Sam Hauser. When you have those things, we become really tough to stop. And it's average for Derek White to step up and knock down big threes in the fourth quarter, but we get used to it. But it's still not an easy thing to do, and Derek White lives through those moments.
And it feels like forever ago at this point, but remember, the Celtics did miss their first 4 3-pointers of this game. So I'm sure there are a lot of people in their living room across New England. Too many threes. Why do I always chuck these threes? Well, you see why, because I know 4 threes is not exactly a large sample, but the Celtics have won 3 games against the Bulls this year. They've swept the season series. They made 20-plus threes in all of them. Joe talks about shot quality all the time, and shot margin. They dominate both those categories, and they win again.
They had 6 points, I think, in the first 5 minutes, Eddie. 6 points in the first 5 minutes, and then they ended up with 31 in the quarter. It felt like it could have been one of those nights, but then it wasn't.
Yeah, but I want to ask Gal something real quick. So, I don't want to nitpick, but when you're trying to win a championship, you have to nitpick, right? Everything matters. The smallest of details. 57% from the field. That's a little bit too high. And was it something? What was the reason why they were able to shoot 57% from the field? What was it that you were seeing out there? Because I just felt like everything was kind of like a count slow, a little bit late on things. I know it's a back-to-back, but it's the small details that wins you championships. What was you seeing out there?
Exactly what you saw, Eddie. I think in the fourth quarter we did go to a different level defensively, but for the first 3 quarters, I think I mentioned it a few times, and I don't know if it's because we were double big or anything like that. It just didn't feel like we had that same impact on the ball. And, when you're shorthanded and on a back-to-back, I can expect that, but it was really refreshing to see them at the end, just rise up to a different level defensively. But, no, what you saw was correct. But, it is a small sample size. It's just one game with a shorthanded roster, and Joe wanted to go double big in this game. So there's a lot of variables to that. I'm curious how we play in Atlanta, how we play in New Orleans, and really, more than anything, how we play against Oklahoma City coming up. Because to me, if you can guard that team, then you can guard any team in the entire NBA any night, because they're so aggressive driving the ball.
All right. One last thing for you guys, because I feel like oftentimes when we talk about offensive rebounding, we talk about it as a negative. We never look at it the times when the Celtics are great on the offensive glass, but they were great on the offensive glass tonight. Luke Kornet had 5 offensive rebounds. O'Shea Brissett had another 3. It's just, how refreshing is it to see that side of things?
I mean, it's a sacrifice when you're going to play double big. Then you have to figure out, where those shot margins are going to come from. So we did pound the glass today. It was part of our the way we wanted to run offense. I think ultimately it did open up the 3-point shot because people were cracking back, but it's not something that you should bank on. It's nice to see, but it's not something that the Celtics look at that and say, this is where we're going to win a championship. It's something that's nice if you need it, like on a situation like this.
And the Bulls are a good rebounding team, too.
Very
Vucevic, good. Andre Drummond's one of the best rebounders of his generation. So for those guys to do what they did against this team, very impressive.
Were there things defensively that you didn't like, or did you feel like they were just kind of hitting shots?
Not really. I mean, they had 4 guys shoot threes that, I think we could do a better job of doing both. You're so worried about the Vucevic, DeRozan pick and roll and having shift activity and stuff like that. So, we could have had maybe some better closeouts on a couple of them, but I thought their role guys played well. They made threes. They made shots. But, that space of the game that Chicago's great at is forcing turnovers into transition offense, right? So we start the game with 4 turnovers for 8 points in transition. Now you're behind, right? So then you start it with 4 turnovers, 8 points off turnovers, and then they have 12 points off guys that, like, you want to close out to but take away the drive. So now you're kind of behind as far as the margins there, and the guys did a good job of working their way back into it.
Joe, second night of a back-to-back on the road. We've talked about it all season long, missing 3 starters. But what has allowed you guys, what went into being able to, no matter who's on the floor, you guys give yourselves a chance to win?
Just the locker room. Like you said, we talked about it tonight. O'Shea, I thought Svi gave good minutes, X. It's funny, I yelled Jaden's name. He was shocked he went in at 4 seconds, but we've given up 4 points in 4 seconds against Denver and against Detroit. And so, those 4 seconds matter. So just every time someone goes into the game, they know their minutes matter, and they play the role that they need to do to give us the best chance to win. And, it looks different every night, so it's a credit to them, really.
It seemed like a lot of guys, obviously throughout the game, have kind of had their segments, the third quarter out. Was so good. You mentioned O'Shea at the start of the fourth.
In the second?
Yeah, in the second.
Yeah. Peyton throughout the game, Sam.
Yeah, just kind of.
X and Luke minutes had some physical rebounds in there on the offensive end as well. So, I said it's just that the guys find different ways to impact the game.
Do you run plays for Sam?
I think the guys that, we talked about this before, the guys have done a better job of understanding how to use Sam as a weapon, whether it's to get him open or to use him as a decoy for 2-on-1s. And he has an innate ability to balance the floor with spacing, but also create indecisions. And so we don't run a ton of plays for him, but the guys have really learned how to use him as a weapon offensively. And so it's opening up things for him, but also for the other guys.
He's got 23s in the last 3 games, which is
awesome.
The franchise record. Yeah,
He's made?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
In the last 3 games that he's played in. Is that just him and his development, a comfort, a heater to the team?
I think it's just a comfort level of knowing that his teammates are looking for him. I think that's really what it is. And you give him the ball. If you look at most of his threes, they're really good passes, timely passes into his shot. So I think it's really just that comfort level that he knows he's going to get open and he knows the guys are going to see him.
You seem revved up about that. There's some games you seem revved up about. Is this one?
These last 2 have been fun. I guess you can't take winning for granted. I thought the guys have handled it really well with the competitive mindset, and there's no reason for us to. There's many reasons why we could have a lull from an effort standpoint or from a competitive standpoint and just lay down. And who's to say that it might not happen on this trip? It might, but up until this point. Especially after the Milwaukee game, which was a game that was probably circled for the guys. For us to just continue to play hard is the habit that we need to have. So I love that more than anything else. Even if we didn't win, I think we're playing the right way. We just got to keep that, and we can't take winning for granted.
Sam, you missed time, but do you feel like you fell right back into the rhythm?
The first couple of minutes of last game, I felt like a half step slow for the first couple of minutes. You only miss 3 days, but sometimes when you're getting back into the swing of things, it takes just a little bit to get back in the flow and the rhythm of the speed of the game. And obviously, yesterday was good for today, and today felt a little bit better than yesterday. So it's looking good.
Played both games with back-to-back. Clearly, the ankle is holding up fine.
Yeah, it's been feeling pretty solid throughout. Still, doesn't feel quite 100% yet, but overall pretty good.
Yeah. What's kind of feeling so good with your shot right now? It's just kind of good looks, good opportunities.
Yeah, teammates are finding me, when I'm open, and trying to get into windows and try to set myself up for success as well, and being a little more aggressive. Coming off screens, running behind a guy in transition for them to flip it back, things like that. So just trying to find my place and, be a star in that role.
How are you finding those windows, though, with so many different people on the floor, the lineups you guys are playing with?
Yeah, that's the beauty of our team. Anybody can step in and play, 30 minutes a night. And that's credit to all the work that we put in, day out. We truly try to win every single day. And I think it shows on the court when we have nights like this when guys are out and other guys get to step up and play.
Beyond the obviously important guys being out, there's also could be a sense of all right, we've done what we need to do this regular season. we can chill for a little bit. What's kind of helped you guys having this drive and want to finish so strong? There's no let up, even though the games aren't going to really factor into your playoff chase.
Yeah, we're just hungry for more, and it's not in our character to just like mail it in for the rest of the season, even though we have a good record to this point. We're trying to take it a day at a time because we have a lot to prepare for the playoffs, and each and every day is a great opportunity for us to grow together as a group and learn from games that we won and lost. So we're just taking it one day at a time.
Joe talks a lot to us about just finding different ways, different nights. Tonight they shot 57.3, I think, from the field. You were at 11. I think second chance points, you had just a massive edge. Like, what was kind of the pathway, I guess, for this one?
He said in the huddle a couple times, just grind it out and find a way to win. And that's what we did tonight. It was our 5th game in 7 nights, I believe. So it's just one of those days where, everything may not be, going your way or whatever, but you just got to find a different way to win. And that's what we've shown throughout the season, that we can do that.
What kind of monster was Luke on the boards tonight?
Man, he's been a monster all year on the boards. I don't know, you guys call him king of the putback or something like that, right? I don't know. I think Scal does.
Trying to get that going?
I don't know. Maybe. But he's been great all year, and he knows that that's his role to come in, crash the boards, screen, roll, finish at the rim, and play good defense and protect the rim. So he's done a great job of that all year.
How much pride is this Stay Ready group taking in now, being able to kind of shine?
Yeah, we a lot of these guys, we live for these moments. When some guys are down with an injury, it's you get a chance to show what you can do on a big stage. And as a competitor, you just you thrive for that, and you're motivated in those type of games to just show what you can do and show to the coaches if you throw me in a certain game in the playoffs, I'll be ready to go, that type of thing.
Up next, a double dip with the Atlanta Hawks. So this one's intriguing because you're going from Chicago, which is probably going to be the 9th seed in the Eastern Conference, to Atlanta, who is almost assuredly going to be the 10th seed. They're, I think, 5.5 up on Brooklyn. And Brooklyn isn't exactly trying to get up there and catch them. I don't think they have any of their picks. So maybe they should be trying harder based on that. But essentially, the Hawks and Bulls are sort of on a collision course to play for the right to play for the 8th seed. So those two teams will meet. Whoever wins that game will go up against the loser of the 7-8 and with a chance to sort of sneak into the playoffs. If you're the Celtics, probably, based on season results, would rather see the Bulls or the Hawks than, say, Philly, Miami, or Indy. 3 of the teams that are sort of in the mix for the 7-8 spots. But a little volatility there. I think Miami and Indy have one more game, so we'll see how it all starts to shake out. We'll see if Joel Embiid gets back out there. We'll see what Indy looks like. We'll see what Philly looks like if Joel Embiid is able to play. We'll see what Miami looks like with their roster, and I know they've kind of been all over the map this year. So the bottom line here is Celtics get a chance. It's a weird thing with the 2 days off. It's the last 2-day break of the season for the Celtics too, so they better get their golf rounds in. But Bruno Fernando, old friend, had a monster game, had a poster dunk on Grant Williams. So we'll see how the Celtics respond going down to Atlanta. One interesting note here, and I didn't notice that actually John Hollinger was up in Boston last month earlier this month for that Sloan conference, and he was noting how the Celtics play those 2 games with 2 days off in the middle. The Hawks actually play a game in that middle stretch. They play Portland at one point. So Rob Williams will potentially be in town if he travels. I don't know if he's traveling. Maybe Malcolm Brogdon. How ironic would that be if all the Celtics were seeing their old friends while they're down there in Atlanta? Maybe that's part of the perks of making that trip. As you know, we will be here probably talking about whatever random lineup they throw out and how good they are and how the Hawks had no answer. But let's see if the Celtics can keep this going. 9 in a row. We'll catch you Monday night on the POSTGAME Pod.